The opera Sukanya is probably, as far as I'm aware, the world's first East-West opera. The first opera ever to include Indian instruments, Western instruments, Indian voices and Western voices, and to blend them into one homogeneous whole that I hope is greater than the sum of its parts. And it is Ravi Shankar's idea. Throughout his life, he'd had such a long performing career, probably the longest performing career of certainly the 20th century. Began as a childhood dancer, branched out into all sorts of things after that. Obviously, he became a fantastic sitar player. He had a great interest in film, technology, and he wanted to bring all of that together, along with mixing the music of East and West. Sukanya is from the ancient text Mahabharata, and it's from a section called the Book of the Forest. And it recounts the tale of Chayavana, who is a young man. He goes into the forest, sits down and begins meditating. His meditation gets so deep that ants in the forest begin to crawl over him. He doesn't notice. Gradually, they start to build a nest, and this nest, over a period of years, eventually encompasses his whole body. So there's just this enormous anthill in the forest. About 100 years later, Princess Sukanya comes into the forest on a beautiful spring day with her father, the king, and his entourage. And basically they're there to celebrate spring, new life, enjoy the trees, the beauty of the forest, hearing the birds and so on. And Sukanya and her friend wander off. The friend looks down and sees lots of ants on the ground. They get to the anthill, and Sukanya looks at it very closely. She feels sort of drawn towards it, and looks at it and sees glowing from inside what look like two jewels or fireflies or something she thinks they might be. And she decides to explore the anthill, so she picks up a stick and pokes what she thought were two jewels or two glowing stones, and there's a scream from inside the anthill, and it is, of course, Sage Chayavana. As soon as she realised what she had done, terrible things started to happen in the kingdom. There were storm clouds gathering, thunder, lightning, earthquakes, you name it. And the only solution that seemed to be possible to make amends for everything would be if she would marry the sage. There is some debate as to whether that was her decision or her father's decision, and so we've looked at it both ways. And in the latest version of the opera, Sukanya makes that decision herself. So she decides that she will marry the sage in order to fix her father's kingdom and bring the world back to harmony and peace. Everybody around thinks this terrible. How's this beautiful princess? She's only in her late teens. How is she going to be able to live and manage with a sage who's over 100 years old? But it turns out actually that the marriage is really good. Meanwhile, two meddling demigods, a lot of these ancient stories have meddling gods, have watched this whole process and think it goes against nature that a beautiful young princess should marry somebody over 100 years old. It's just not natural, and that she should marry one of them instead, because after all, she's extremely attractive, and they think they're extremely attractive as well, and it would be right if one of them were to marry Princess Sukanya. They watch how well the marriage is progressing with increasing incredulity. They watch in particular a music lesson where the sage is teaching Sukanya his experience of Indian classical music, and he explains the difference between Indian music and Western music. And they're clearly getting closer and closer, the relationship's getting warmer and warmer, and the twin demigods are getting more and more infuriated. So when the sage wanders off at the end of the music lesson, they burst in and tell Sukanya how ridiculous it is that she's in this situation, and she really should marry one of them instead. She's now actually deeply in love with the sage and sees this intrusion as, well, a slight on her marriage, and she's extremely annoyed. They persist and persist and persist. She starts thinking, especially when they say that they have magical powers and they can change her husband to look just like one of them. Her ears prick up at that point, and she asks for more detail. And they say, why not play a game? We'll make your husband look exactly like one of us. And if you can choose which one of the three of us is indeed your husband, that's the one that you'll end up being married to. So they go along with the test, and Chayavana goes with the two demigods into a lake that's in the middle of the forest, near where the two of them live. They go into the lake, they come up from a couple of minutes under the water, and there they are, looking absolutely identical. And Sukanya then has the challenge of choosing which one really is her husband. And it's not as difficult as one might think, because the demigods, unfortunately for them, forget that they're from the spiritual realm, whereas Chayavana is from the earthly realm. So he's the only one that actually leaves footprints on the ground. So it's actually very easy. She chooses her husband, and now he doesn't look 110, but he looks 20 like the demigods, and a suitable age for her. And basically they all live happily ever after. So the kingdom is restored and everything is as it should be.